In today's video on the KLR650, we're replacing the front sprocket, rear sprocket, and chain. To get started taking off the front and rear sprocket, I'm going to take out all the brake stuff on the other side and loosen up the axle and loosen the adjusters. Okay, so I got the rear sprocket off. Wasn't too bad. This is the new sprocket and this is the old sprocket. It's not severely damaged, but I wanted to change them because I was in there doing other stuff anyway. It's just a steel sprocket. I didn't get anything special. Unfortunately, I can't remember the brand. Before installing it, I cleaned up the hub a little bit just to make sure everything was clean. All right, now that we have the rear sprocket on, I'm going to take the chain off, I'm going to take the cover off, and then get the sprocket off, and then install the new sprocket. Well, as you can see, I was very much overdue for taking the sprocket off. I have a feeling the previous owner didn't change this one. They may have changed the rear one and the chain, but I don't think that they changed this one. Hopefully it's not too damaged. All right, well, it's been a week. I was waiting for some other parts to do the rear rotor, and I was also trying to find a new one of these. Funny thing is, the manufacturer doesn't make these anymore, so I'm gonna have to find an alternative. I think I found one, but I'm gonna have to just confirm with the seller and make sure that the part that I found is in fact this particular piece. Now, as you saw before, I did kind of pry it off just to try and get it off because it was kind of jammed. I did fix it and clean it up. It's really not in the best of shapes, but it will do for now, just so that way I can kind of assemble it and put the thing back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And while I'm at it, this is the original sprocket cover. And funny enough, they later on changed it in the same generation to this open configuration. Now this came off of a spare parts bike, and that's what I'm gonna use, just to kind of give it a different look and get some of the crap that's out of it that, you know, might get in there. It'll easily get out. The other thing I noticed too is my parts bike is a 99, and this setup doesn't exist on there. It's actually a nut that spins on the actual shaft. It's threaded, so I'm not sure why they changed that later on, which is now what's giving me this problem. I can't find that part from the manufacturer. So as you can tell, I installed the chain while I installed the sprocket and the cover. It's just easier at that point. It's not a heavy duty or a special chain. It's gold colored, but I think that's just what was available. It is just an RK Takasago chain. I'm not sure if it's any good. It's an O-ring 520. This particular one is 110 links. But if you can get 106 links, that's what you need for this bike. Now, if you can't get 106 links, I mean, obviously you just have to grind it. It's not too hard. It's annoying, but it's not too hard. You just grind the end off and then push the pin through. Don't forget the O-rings, and to grease it, it comes in this nice little convenient pouch thing. Now, I don't have a chain brake or a chain whatever to put these on, but I saw on YouTube, unfortunately I don't remember the guy, but he used a nut and a C-clamp to squish these in. Basically the hole has to be big enough to fit the pin, and he managed to push that through. So I'm not sure if this is going to work, but let's find out. Well, man, I don't know what it is, but for me that it worked. I got it on, but it was super fiddly. I even got a bigger C-clamp just to try and get it on there. I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend this as like an everyday thing, that's for sure. If you're in a pinch, it works, but I may look into investing in the actual chain tool at some point. But for now, it's on. All right, while you weren't looking, I went ahead and tightened the chain. It's really such a finicky process. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like finicky things. I just kind of like to set it in and get it done, and that's it. The one thing I found is that these little notches that are on here, they're not always accurate. You can use it as a base, but I didn't find that they matched up on both sides. I used the rotation of the wheel, the alignment of the chain and the sprocket to make sure that the tooth of the sprocket was centered within the chain. And to see if it was centered throughout the whole process, I just spun the wheel repeatedly, made very small adjustments, like, you know, an 1/8 or a 1/16 of a rotation, just to check it, so that way I wasn't getting ahead of myself. That seemed to work fine. What I found too during the book, what it says is that you take the center of your front sprocket and the center of your rear sprocket, basically using the axle, find out the middle, and then once you've done that, you just kind of figure out, using a pin, it says to use a pin to locate the actual travel distance, and then push it all the way down, push it all the way up, and whatever that movement is what your chain slack is. Now the book says 50 to 60 millimeters or 2 to 2.4 inches. Mine is roughly about 2 1/4, so somewhere in there. It's not perfect. I'll double check it once I ride just to make sure everything is good. But don't take my word for it. Go take a look at what other people are doing. I'm not an expert on this. I'm just doing this as I see. But so far it seems to be working. I do have to go for a ride at some point, but it's raining right now, so I'll find out later. But guys, this is an easy job to do. Just take your time. If you have an afternoon spare, go ahead and go do it. It's pretty rewarding to do things for yourself and then get them to work. And just in case you guys were wondering what I use in terms of my setup for the sprocket sizes, I use the stock sizes. So it's 15 in the front and 43 in the rear. The chain length is 106 links. If you get one longer, obviously you'll have to cut it. Don't forget that when you're installing your chain, that it's good to watch out what direction you're putting the clip in. And I would recommend a chain tool. I didn't like the method I used with the nut and the C-clamp. Again, I don't like finicky stuff. I just want it to work. But that's it, guys. For now, I'm leaving it at that. I'm Paul. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.